What's going on, family? So, we are going to read chapter 4 in Don't Believe Everything You Think. Chapter 4, Thoughts versus Thinking. Um, the quote they have is Stop thinking and end your problems by Lao Tzu. I've seen that name a lot. Reading some of the books that I've read. Anyway, thoughts are the energetic, mental raw materials we use to create everything in the world. It's important to know that thoughts are a noun and aren't something that we do, but something we have. That is news to me because I thought it was thoughts are a noun. Okay, I get it. Thoughts are a noun because a thought is a thought. It's not doing anything. So I'm assuming thinking might be the verb. A thought takes no effort or force on our end, and it is something that just happens. That's true. That's true. We also cannot control what thoughts pop into our minds. The source of thoughts comes from something beyond our minds, the universe, if you will. So, for those of you who don't really believe in the universe is definitely a thing. Everything is the universe. Or you could say God. God is the universe. Same difference. So thoughts comes from God, thought comes from the universe. I like to say universe because it's more realistic to me, you know. Thinking, on the other hand, is the act of thinking about our thoughts. This takes a significant amount of energy, effort, and willpower, which is a finite resource. Thinking is actively engaging with the thoughts in our mind. You don't have to engage with each thought in your mind, but when you do, that is thinking. So a thought pops into our mind. I'm trying to visualize this to understand. So a random thought just pops in our mind. We have no control of that thought. And we focus on that thought. That is thinking. So the thought is a thought, but once we focus on that thought, that is thinking. I know I said that twice, but y'all get it. Thinking is the root cause of all of our psychological suffering. Hmm. Now you might wonder, where do positive thoughts fit into the picture? Positive thoughts or thoughts that feel good do not result from thinking. They are instead generated by our natural state of peace, love, and joy. They are a byproduct of a state of being, not a state of thinking. We will go into depth about that in the next chapter. So I want to know now, but we got to wait. For now, let's do a quick thought experiment. I'll ask you a question. And all you need to do is be aware of what you're experiencing, and we'll review what happened afterwards. What is the dream amount of money you want to make in a year? Pause here and wait for an answer to surface. Give yourself about 30 to 60 seconds to think about your answer to how much money you want to make in a year. Don't move on to the next step have until you've had a decently sized train of thought about how much you want to make in a year. So I'm gonna say I got my thought. Okay. I got my thought. And damn. I didn't even think. I just had the thought. The thought just came. So did I control that? Let's see. Um Now take that amount and multiply that by 5. What do you think about this new dream goal for your income when we multiply by 5? Take at least another 30 to 60 seconds to become aware of your feelings. When you think about, let me see. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry. Um, when you think about them and see what other thinking comes up for you as you feel your emotions. Oh, well, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I wouldn't know what to do with that much money. I'll be giving that shit away. I'll be helping people. Okay. Don't move until you've done the above. Okay, let's bring it back in and review what happened. After I asked the first question about the dream amount of money you want to make per year, an answer popped into your mind within a few seconds. That is a thought. Okay. So a thought barely takes any effort. Like I said at the beginning of the chapter, a thought is really, you really don't have to force it. Thoughts just come, and a lot of times we don't control those thoughts. Most times, all times most times we can't control those thoughts. But anyways, notice how quickly and effortlessly that came to you. After an answer popped into your mind, I asked you to think about your answer. What happened once I asked you to think about your answer? If you're like most people, you probably went on a wild roller coaster once you began thinking about the thought. You might have been thinking how there's no way you can make that much. No one in your family is making that much money. You don't know how to make that much. It's stupid to want that much money, or that it makes you greedy. Notice how you felt when you were thinking about those thoughts. Because I'm not even going to lie. Deep down, I felt that way. I'm like, that's a lot of fucking money. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do with that money. Like, I already deep down believe that I could never make that much money. That's a lot of money. When you times the number that I did by 5, that's a huge amount of money. And the fact that this book just exposed to me that I don't believe I can make that much money. I got to work on some shit. I got to work on some shit. This book be checking me, putting me in my place when it comes to the mind now. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But anyway, um notice how you felt when you were thinking about those thoughts. Most likely it didn't feel great, but that is okay. And I'll show you what you can do about it soon. I want to know now. I want to know now. Like, stop telling me I'm gonna see shit in another chapter or soon. Like, you teasing me right now, Mister Joseph Nugent, however you say that name. Um, this is a prime example of thoughts versus thinking. If I ask you a question, you will 100% have a thought that pops into your mind. That is so true. No matter what, a thought is just going to pop in your mind. You can't control that. Thoughts are not inherently bad. They are intrinsically neutral. The moment we think about our thoughts is when we begin to get taken on an emotional roller coaster. When we think about our thoughts, we begin to judge and criticize the thoughts and experience all sorts of internal emotional turmoil. That is true. How many of y'all out there, a thought came to your mind and then you start focusing on that thought, then you go into this deep rabbit hole, you just start making up shit possibilities, and now you mad for no fucking reason because you focused on that one thought. You got a million thoughts that came, and some of them thoughts was positive, but you chose to focus on that negative thought. And when you focus on negative thought, it just opens the door for more negative thoughts. That's just how the universe works for us. When you focus on something, the universe is like, okay, you focused. I like focus. I'm going to give you more thoughts that resonate, that's on the same frequency as that negative thought that you focused on. And then you're going to get into your emotions and things like that. So that is true. That is true. So all in all, what I would say to myself is, um, when you think in a negative thought, hurry up and change it. Hurry up and change that thought. You don't have to focus on it. The world that we do live in, it is like a low vibrational world. It's very low vibrational. Negativity goes way further than positivity. And it's like a normal thing. But that's the thing, we have to learn. That's why I understand when they say earth is like the school. We got to learn ourselves here, because this planet or whatever is where everything is wiped clean. When we come here, everything is wiped clean. We don't remember shit. So we got to learn. We got to remember ourselves. We got to remember things. We know everything, but we have to remember things. So, like I said, the negative thing aspect of this realm that we live in, the negativity goes way further. It's more popular, and shit, I'm guilty. Negativity sometimes, I don't know, like it's more entertaining. It's more entertaining. Negativity is way more entertaining than positivity, you know. So anyway, before I get carried away, because you know me, I like to talk. But when I asked you how much you wanted to make, you had a thought about the amount. That thought was neutral and didn't cause any emotional toil. You might have felt expansive and excited. It was only when you began thinking about that thought of how much you wanted to make, which is what caused the self doubt, unworthiness, anxiety, anger, guilt, or any other emotion you may have experienced. Oh my God. I recommend this book. Get this book if you really having trouble with your thoughts and things like that, and you really want to understand in a depth way. Get this book. Get this book. And also, you know what? Never mind. But yeah, get this book. I did get this off the TikTok shop. So I'm not gonna lie. This book is something else. It's something else. It's something else. After I'm done reading this chapter, I'm gonna go look in the mirror. I'm gonna go look in the mirror at myself for a minute. I'm gonna take a look in the mirror. That's what I'm gonna do. This is what I mean by thinking is the root cause of suffering. The initial thought of how much you wanted to make didn't cause any suffering until you began thinking about the thought of how much you wanted to make. It is not necessary to think about your thoughts or to judge them. It does us no good to do so. We may think that thinking is helping us, but all it's doing is causing us to feel all these negative, unwanted emotions and making us create reasons why we can't do it or why we shouldn't want it. That's the truth. We create excuses for ourselves. Once we start thinking, man, thinking can be contagious. So I understand the title. Don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you think. Um, the only useful and helpful thing was the initial thought that popped into your mind when I first asked how much you wanted to make. All of the thinking that happened after was destructive and unhelpful, which was very true. Which was very true. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we do this to ourselves? because the world that we live in is a negative world. Okay? Understand that we live in a negative world. The negativity, the low vibrational stuff is just it's popping here. It's popping here. So that's why they say like the negativity is easy to go with the negativity because that's what everybody doing. That narrow road is that positivity or the road less traveled. The road less traveled is that road where, a lot of times we scared to travel that road because we don't believe we can be the person that we need to become to travel that road. Sometimes it's scary because sometimes we don't believe that we can handle certain things. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to the thing that I've noticed when it comes to manifesting is if you want something, you have to step in that costume. You got to act like you're that. You got to act like what you want to be. You got to move like what you want to be. Sometimes that could be hard, especially if the circumstances that you are in is like difficult, but you could do it. You could do it. We all can do it. Get this book to figure out how to do it. Like I said, I got this off the TikTok shop. Anyway, let's continue. Thoughts create, thinking destroy. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Thoughts create, thinking destroys. So you can have, yeah, yeah, I get it. The reason thinking destroys is because as soon as we begin to think about the thoughts, we cast our own limiting. So we limit ourselves. A lot of times, see that's another thing. This makes sense. This makes sense to me. At we are God and the devil. You are the devil. You are your own worst enemy. Because a lot of times we be thinking all these weird thoughts, and then we say the devil ain't finna do me today. Going on somewhere that no, that's you, honey. That's you. You the devil. Cause ain't nobody thinking but you, hon. Ain't nobody thinking but you. Ain't nobody focused on them thoughts but you. The thought came and you couldn't control the thought, but you can control focusing on that thought. So don't blame the devil. Blame yourself. Anyway, the reason thinking destroys is because as soon as we begin to think about the thoughts, we cast our own limiting beliefs, judgments, criticism, programming, and conditioning into the thought, thinking of infinite reasons as to why we can't do it and why we can't have it. Why is that? Because that is so true. Even when it comes to my jewelry, because I do jewelry, I make jewelry, right? And a lot of times I done said this to a lot of people, and I've been doing the jewelry thing since 2020. Once COVID hit, that's when I found out I like to create. I'm an artist of some sort. But when I started doing jewelry, and I start selling it, people was buying stuff for me and everything. But I didn't put so much energy into it. I wanted to, but what stopped me was the fear of success. I was scared that the success was going to be too overwhelming. I don't want to do all of that. It's just too much. So the way my jewelry thing goes is if you know, you know. I don't really have any Etsy or anything. I do have an Instagram for my jewelry and the stuff that I create, but I don't put that energy like I put into talking on camera. I don't put as much energy into it because I'm scared that I'm gonna get a lot of orders one day and then it's gonna be overwhelming and it's only me. So I'm running. I have the fear. I have a fear of being successful. I have a fear of being successful. And so, man, this is crazy. I'm actually looking in the mirror right now reading this book. I'm like reflecting on myself reading this book. This is crazy. So, that is so true. That's crazy. But anyway, without thinking, we prevent all negative programming and judgments from tarnishing the initial thought of what you want to create. If I asked you what are some ways you could make the amount of money you want, if you sat there long enough, you'll experience the same phenomena of having random thoughts pop into your head of ways you could make it happen. Excuse me. These are thoughts of creation. Thoughts have the thoughts have the equalities of being wait thought thoughts have the qualities of being infinite and expansive and feel energetically aligned with you. You'll know you have thoughts from the divine when you feel positive emotions, lighter and alive. That is so true. Every morning I wake up, I be having so many like positive thoughts, like so many ideas. I like first thing I wake up, I have a thought and then I start talking to myself. And it's like, damn, this is a great idea. So I automatically go into my phone and I text myself and just keywords so that I could remember what I was thinking in that moment. Because that's another thing. Write shit down. Write shit down because the universe will definitely give you these ideas and plant seeds in your mind. And this happened to me a lot. But I would get this idea. It's a great idea and I don't write it down or anything, I forget it. And then later on that day, I'm thinking about what was that thought I had earlier? Fuck. And I'm thinking about it and it be at the tip of my mind. And I'm like, I can't think about it. And so I've done that so many times to the point where now, anytime I have a thought, I got a little notebook in my purse. I will write it down in my notebook or I'm gonna put it in my phone. So, because I don't like forgetting shit, especially when I have a really, really good idea. I need to remember that idea because I got the idea for a reason. The universe put that in my mind, planted the seed. The universe planted the seed in my mind for a reason. So it's important to sometimes write things down because you will forget. You will forget. These are thoughts of creation. Thoughts have the qualities of being infinite and expansive and feel energetically aligned with you. You'll know you have thoughts from the divine when you feel positive emotions, lighter and alive. As soon as you begin thinking about the thought those thoughts of the ways you can make money you want, you'll immediately feel heavy, restricted, and limited, along with a whole onslaught of negative emotions. This is how you'll know if you're thinking. I use my feelings as an internal radar that tells me whether I'm getting direct downloads of thoughts from the universe or if I'm in my head thinking about my thoughts. You can only ever feel what you're thinking. So, feelings and emotions are like an intrusive, excuse me, So, feelings and emotions are like an intuitive internal dashboard that tells me if I'm overthinking. If I have many negative emotions, I know I'm thinking too much. This is another example of how we're naturally built for success. Stop fucking thinking. Okay. On the next page is a chart that compares thinking versus thoughts to help you identify which one is which within your mind. It is helpful to go through a few examples of thoughts in your mind and using the chart to identify if it's an actual thought or if it is thinking. Okay, so here's the chart. I don't know if y'all might want to pause and read, go through that, but I'm gonna look at it off a camera. No, you know what I'm gonna do right here. So, attribute, thought, thinking, source, thought, universe, thinking, ego, charge, thought, neutral, thinking, negative. Okay, I get it. I get it. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but okay. But yeah, we'll see. So we are finished with chapter 4, thoughts versus thinking. Next chapter, which is chapter 5, we will be reading if we can only feel what we're thinking, don't we need to think positive? So that is chapter 5. We will be reading that sometime next week or maybe by the end of this week. Who knows? Depending on how things go. Um we will be reading that. But I also had a couple books here. This book here, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's an author. This is one of my favorite books here of his. He kind of talks about he talks about the supernatural of things, the spiritual side of things, the brain and things like that. He amazed me because Dr. Joe Dispenza, he had a motorcycle accident in the past and he broke, I used to listen to him all the time. He broke literally almost every bone in his body and he healed himself through thought alone. This is how powerful our thoughts is, and it may be hard for a lot of y'all to even fathom that. A lot of y'all can't even fathom the thought of what I just said. But if you get into this shit and you are focused and you really want to understand the universe, the quantum field, and everything that connects us to the spiritual, whew, it's some amazing shit. It's some amazing shit. So, yeah. He is Dr. Joe Dispenza is the reason I wanted to try shrooms because I wanted to see what the fuck the brain, I don't know. But anyway, I do appreciate y'all for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Free World TV. And as I always say, through every struggle a statement is made. It's your girl Free, and I'm out. Peace.